It's Friday, everyone, and that means it's time for another episode of Ask the Expert with Rob Sutherland. I really like the theme of this week. So, how can you create balance in your life? I think something that we tend to fail to find.
I mean, you're asking a Libra how to create balance. So hopefully you've got some sort of an expert here. I mean, I don't know, really. I try and relate it to like work and play. I never think everybody talks about the same kind of thing, right? You've got to work to play, instead of just working to work. And I think that that's where a lot of people get caught up in their lives, where they're just stuck in that rut where it's just work and there's no playtime. And I think it's important to have those two things. You've got to have things you enjoy as well as things that suck. There's a good and a bad. There's a black and a white.
Well, it's absolutely true. I think you just described me when you said work and work. I tend to forget the fun part.
Yes.
And I do this next thing, taking work home with you. Do you ever do it?
I think that's what causes the imbalance, right? You can't just separate the two. And I have people that work for me that say, you know what, Rob, I'm happy at this amount of hours. I've got a perfect work-life balance. And I've never looked at myself and thought, Rob, do you have a work-life balance? Because you just go all the time. And so are you, Layla, right? And I think that, taking your work home with you is obviously something that happens eventually. But if it's like becoming a stress, and it's ruining your day, and it's becoming something where, maybe you could do something else with that time, I'd say, what is your career worth when you could just actually, separate the two and find something to get into it as a hobby. And I think a lot of people struggle to find things that are a hobby. My goodness, there's so many choices, but what do you pick? Something that you like? Who knows?
It's true. And the last thing you want to do is work yourself into the grave and then having never enjoyed and stopped to smell the roses, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The roses are important.
They absolutely are important. So what would you say, besides having roses in the workplace, what's your ideal working environment?
Well, we've got orchids here, but occasionally we like to have fresh flowers. I think my ideal work-life balance in a good environment is somewhere where every day when you get up, maybe you don't love the job, but you love going to where you're going to work. You know what I mean? You love the people there. There's a good vibe. And sometimes people are like, especially if they're selling houses or you're selling mortgages or you're just a business builder, business can be very cold and calculated and it doesn't have that warmth to it. So I think if you can make yourself have an attractive place to go to during the day, it will impact you eventually, and you'll enjoy the job more. Maybe if it's a struggle, I think a good environment is where there's people that can share ideas, but also can have their own private ideas as well. I think that too many times you'll see an office where you've got people all fighting for the same piece of the pie, and that can create dissension in the ranks and people get mad at each other, especially at a real estate office, about who's making more money than the next person. But really, I think that, it's something to focus on and find what works best for you. And as far as an environment goes, which is why a lot of people discovered remote working. There's a lot of people who were just like, I'm tired of seeing people in an office and putting up with their, I'd rather just work from home. And all I have to listen to is my husband and my dog. Yeah.
That is very true. That's a very good point. And not every work environment has to have a napping pod like Google does, for instance, but sometimes just validation for your work is enough to make you want to come back the next day.
Recognition is important, right? And vibe and environment, very important as well, and maybe that environment is something you have to create for yourself, right? Maybe that environment is your car. So maybe you need to get a nicer car. Who knows, right? If you're out there working in your car, I mean, heck, I know a lot of people where the car is their office and might as well have something nice if you're going to be in there all day or something comfortable.
Well, someone who's very comfortable with taking the road by storm, that would be you there, Rob.
I'm just doing what I can with the tools I've got.
Indeed, you are. Well, that's excellent information as always. And for more information on PBA, just click on the link, probrokeragency.com, and be sure to tune in on Monday for another episode of Ask the Expert with Rob Sutherland.
Have an awesome week.